What is going on, guys? How's everyone doing tonight? Wanted to come on, do a quick stream, and one, because I wanted to chat with some people, have a good time doing that, but also I kind of wanted to go over this rookie class and what I expect, like the production out of year one from this rookie class. And I'm going to try to get into the specifics of like numbers and where I got these numbers and why I think these rookies in this class can do that. So yeah, let's hop right into it. I'm going to wait to answer any questions and things like that after I go over the entire rookie class. And I do see the chat. I'm going to try to ignore the chat a little bit at the beginning as I'm going over the numbers, just so that there's a little bit more structure to the live streams. So let's get over the topic and let's talk about the topic first. And then we can go on the back half of the show answering questions and just interacting with the chat. So let's hop right into it, guys. Welcome everyone to the late night stream. Really excited about it. Actually, before we get there, let's talk about this. I am doing a 500 subscriber giveaway, and in the description below is the video to that 500 subscriber giveaway, and all of the information on it is there. So do that. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Really, really do appreciate it. Hit that like button. Helps the YouTube algorithm. So let's hop right in, guys. Expected rookie production. What's their numbers? What am I going to go? I'm going to go through the class top to bottom, and we're just going to go from the 4th pick all the way to 117 in that order, what I expect from them and why. So let us start with everyone's favorite player, Ahmad Sauce Gardner. What do I expect from Sauce Gardner? I would be lying if I didn't say that when I was doing my numbers, there was 2 players on my list that I gave kind of elite production to. And those 2 players are Gardner and Jermaine Johnson, because I think those 2 players are going to have elite levels of production. If I'm being honest, I kind of gave Wilson close to elite level of productions. And when I say elite, I mean elite to rookie standards. So let's just kind of go over it. So for Gardner, I really kind of expect him to come onto the scene and really light it up. I expect quarterbacks and teams to challenge him early and really take advantage of the fact that their expected production is kind of elite. And I agree, JW. I think that Sauce Gardner will be a top corner. And so I'd like to see him out of this year. I'd like to see at least 3 interceptions. I think that's quite a bit. If we compare him to who, and this is what I was comparing him to when I was doing my numbers, kind of looking it up, is if we look at what he was able to do, what Jalen Ramsey was able to do in his rookie year at Jacksonville, I would like to follow very similar kinds of numbers. So I would like to see from him 3 interceptions. I would love to see one of those interceptions taken back for a pick 6. I think about 10 to 12 pass breakups is exactly where we would want to see Sauce Gardner be at. That's elite level numbers for a corner, and that's what I expect from a guy. And I expect him to be tested early, and I expect him to survive that level of production early. And then when it comes to the assistance and the help in the run game, I would like to see about 40 to 45 combined tackles from Ahmad Gardner. Let's say about like 10 or 11 of them solo tackles, and then the rest of them assisted tackles and things like that. I'm sorry. Like more like 30-ish solo tackles of like receivers and things that he's coming in on getting tackles on, and then about 10 combo tackles when he's helping in the run. That's kind of what I would expect out of Gardner. He's coming in as, in my opinion, and in a lot of people's opinion, as the best corner in the draft. He's coming with a lot of expectations, and I'm not making any excuses for Gardner. I expect him to live up to those expectations. I think that he's an elite corner. I think he can live up to that. And I think that if he can have a very, very good rookie year, he should be in defensive rookie of the year votes. He should be in the conversation for a Pro Bowl. He should be in the conversation for being an all-pro corner, because that's my expectation of him long term. Now, if he doesn't come out the gates rocking it, I'm not saying that I'm going to give up on the guy, but my expectation is that. And so that's kind of what I want from him going into it. And like, that's my, like I said, that's kind of my expectation for him. I don't expect that he's necessarily going to get like all of the targets or anything like that. But I think when you look at your passes defended and the numbers and what you see from teams and guys throughout their careers, that's around the number that you see a lot of the elite corners in the NFL is in that 12 to 20 range. And so I'm going to put him right there on the bottom of it at about 12 pass breakups. So let's go on to the second person that we took in the first round, Garrett Wilson. Now, Garrett Wilson, I went and I looked at to find a like a comparison point. I went right to the elite of the elite and then kind of stepped that back a little bit. I looked at it and I went, I would like Wilson to get 90 targets. Of those 90 targets, I expect him to catch about 65 of them. That'll put him at, I think, like a 70%-ish catch expectation. And when you look at that, his and then I expect him to get 850 yards. So I would like to see him get 65 receptions for 850 yards. That puts him at an average yard per reception of about 13.1 yards per reception. Now, I know that that's kind of high, but he's a home run hitter, and I expect him to, when he catches the ball, to make plays. We're really going to focus on the run game, and you're going to see that when I talk about Breece Hall and my expectation for him. And I really kind of expect Garrett Wilson to come into this league and really kind of just be an Adam Thielen-esque player. And if we look at Adam Thielen and what he's doing in his first year, I expect Garrett Wilson to be a lot better than Adam Thielen is. But if you look at that, when I was trying to compare someone that I had to say, all of that stuff, you know, I don't think he's going to get all of the targets in the world, because he's going to have to share those targets with Elijah Moore and Corey Davis and Braxton Berrios. So I think about 90 targets throughout the season is a really, really good number. That puts him at, I think, about 6 or 7 targets a game, which I think is right around where he's going to do that. And I assume that everyone was healthy the whole year. There was no injuries or anything like that. And so I think that that's a really kind of realistic number. I think that if he does that, that puts him right there. And you have to understand that Garrett Wilson is coming in as a rookie, and there are other kids and other players that have been in this system for a lot longer than Wilson, who are going to be a little bit more productive and are going to get a little bit more of the targets. But I still expect Wilson to have a lot of the expectations coming onto him with being the number 10 overall pick. But those are my expectations for him. Oh, I didn't say it. I expect about 5 or 6 touchdowns. I don't really look at Garrett Wilson as possibly being the red zone target. We're going to see that later on in the draft with Jeremy Ruckert, because I think he's going to be really utilized in the red zone. And I think that in the red zone, we're going to start looking at your probably like Elijah Moore, because he can cut faster than Garrett Wilson. I think his route running is a little bit better. But also, when I look at just Corey Davis is a bigger target there, the tight ends are going to be more involved. The running backs are going to be more involved in the red zone. And so that's kind of what I see from him. I didn't want to project any of the rushing attempts that we might see Garrett Wilson go into, because I totally expect that Elijah Moore and Braxton Berrios are going to be more of the guys getting the rushing touches than Garrett Wilson. But again, I don't know. We have so many expectations, we have so many wide receivers on this team that can really do well that it's hard for me to say that any one of our wide receivers is going to get over 1,000 yards, because I think every single one of our wide receivers is going to have over 700 yards. I expect Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, Braxton Berrios, and Garrett Wilson all to have Corey Davis, all to have like 600, 700, 800 yards, because we're going to spread the ball out really, really well. And when you add guys in, like I think Denzel Mims, I think we probably bring back Keelan Cole, Jeremy Ruckert, Uzama, and all these guys probably being in that 300, 400 range. I think there's going to be a lot of yards to go around. And I don't think we're going to have one necessarily superstar in the wide receiver game, because we're going to spread it around and all of that stuff. Moving on to the next pick in the draft, we're going to go to Jermaine Johnson and what I expect from him. In my earlier video that I uploaded maybe 20 minutes ago, I talked about the Jets having an elite pass rush, because I truly believe that the Jets are going to have an elite pass rush. I had Jermaine Johnson ranked as my number 2 edge in the class. I loved his production at Florida and Georgia and what he was asked to do there. And then when he was finally told, hey, I need you to just pass rush, he came out and he showed us a lot of moves. And when you add the fact that Carl Lawson is coming in and really going to talk about like some really, really good helping out his guys and doing those things, my expectation is that he's going to blow things out of the water. So I know that this is a lot to ask from Jermaine Johnson, but I believe that he can do that. So for me, I have him at 10.5 sacks. I have 2 players I project at 10.5 sacks next year. That's Carl Lawson and that's Jermaine Johnson. I truly think that they can do it, because I think those guys are our best edge rushers in the class. And I'd really love to see what he can do in a true just go after the quarterback kind of role. And so I really, really like that. I also expect him to get about 60-ish tackles on his own. Like, not on his own, but I expect him to get 60 tackles. He was known for stopping and stuffing the run. That's what he did a lot of the time. And so that's what I expect him to continue to do, get 60 tackles. Those are the combined tackles, solo and assisted tackles, and all of those things. And then the big thing for me that I expect from him is 20 quarterback hits / pressures. I really expect our guys to be in the backfield a lot. We have edge rushers and we have good guys who can go in there and disrupt the pass rush. And that's what I think these guys can do, is disrupt the pass rush. And that's what they're going to do. So I know that's a lot of expectations from JJ, but I had JJ as my number 2 edge. I was ready to take JJ at number 4 overall. If you're a top 5 pick in my eyes, you got to be able to have production at a high level. Let's move on to our next pick, Breece Hall, the running back. It's going to be funny when you hear this, but when you look at Breece Hall and everything like that, I totally expect Breece Hall to have like a year 1 of Jonathan Taylor. Breece Hall reminds me too much of Jonathan Taylor, and with our offensive line and our scheme, I expect Jonathan Taylor numbers out of him. So for me, I have him at 1,000 rushing yards on 250 rushing attempts. I'll do a recap A&M of everybody once I go through the list. Just real quick, I'll talk everybody. Here are the numbers that I expect and everything like that, but I'll get back to that. Breece is going to be a focal point of the offense. He's going to be a focal point of our offense on first downs and second downs. And so I really, really expect him to be a part of the rushing game at a high level. So I look at 250 attempts, about 1,000 rushing yards. I expect him to be a big, big target in the red zone. And I expect him to get about 10 touchdowns. I know that's asking a lot, but like I said, I think with our rushing game and what we're going to be doing, we're going to be rushing in a lot of touchdowns. And I think Breece Hall is easily going to be able to hit double-digit touchdowns. This is a combined touchdowns, not just rushing, but rushing and receiving. I really expect him to get double-digit touchdowns and doing all of those things. And then for me in the reception game, I don't know if he gets any receiving touchdowns, or if he does, I think he gets 10 total, but I think that he adds about 250 receiving yards. And so he'll get a total of about 1,250 yards, like total scrimmage yards. But I really expect him to do a lot of big things in the run game. And I would not be surprised if the New York Jets had two running backs with over 1,000 rushing yards, because I expect Michael Carter to also be a big play for that offense. But there's that. Now let's go on to Ruckert, our next pick in the draft. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Ruckert. I think a lot of people think that Ruckert is going to be tight end 3. I don't think that at all. I think Ruckert comes into the system as tight end 2. I don't necessarily dislike Conklin, but Conklin is a receiving tight end, where I look at Ruckert as a do-it-all tight end. I expect Ruckert to come in, and he's going to get about 50 targets. I expect him to get about 36 to 40 of those targets to be catches for somewhere in the 350 to 400 yards. And I expect him to get 4 touchdowns, because I think in the red zone, we're going to add CJ and Jeremy into the system, and we're going to look at getting them the ball because they're big, sure-handed receivers in the receiving game, and they can also be used as blockers. So that's kind of what I expect from Ruckert. I don't expect, like, when we're in that, like, middle marching up the field, I expect Tyler Conklin to take all of those snaps. But when we get into the red zone and we need a big-bodied receiver, when we need someone who can block but also be a threat in the receiving game, I think 4 touchdowns is more than generous. I expect that I expect that honestly. And I got these numbers, truthfully, from comparing him to who I think his pro comp is in George Kittle. George Kittle's rookie year was an okay rookie year. George Kittle became elite after like year 2 or 3. So I expect him to have a good rookie tight end year. I compared TJ Hawkinson out of Detroit and Kittle in San Francisco, and I really look at Ruckert as someone who is going to be he's going to be your tight end 2 really by the time the season goes on, because I really believe in this kid. So yeah, there goes Ruckert. Now I'm going to bring this up because he's obviously one of our picks in Max Mitchell, but it's hard to project Max Mitchell because Max Mitchell is brought in to really be a backup and a depth piece on the offensive line. And in an ideal world, Max Mitchell wouldn't play this year. I believe in Max Mitchell, and I really like him. If you listen to me on any other stream or any other podcast or anything, you'll see that I pound the table for Max Mitchell. I love this guy, but I don't know what to expect from him because I don't know if he's going to be playing left tackle, right tackle, if he's going to be playing interior offensive line, if he's going to be playing at center. Like, we just don't know what he's going to be doing on this team. And it's hard to really quantify statistics for offensive linemen, but a good offensive lineman when you see it. So I expect Max to come out, produce at a relatively high level if he ever does come out. And that's really it. You know what I mean? He's got to learn. He's got to put on some weight. He's got to do those kinds of things. And so that's that. And then last but not least, Michael Clemons. I love Michael Clemons. And him being brought into this defense is one of my favorite things that we did in this draft, because once I was able to watch his tape at Texas A&M, gosh, this guy is deadly, man. So for me, Michael Clemons, I expect him to come in a limited role, because I think he's going to have a limited role in this defense, because I think we're going to try to highlight our other guys. But I think Clemons is going to be a staple on third downs, because how do you ignore that man's length and his size and just that lower half strength? He's going to really quickly become our edge 3 on this team, like really quickly. So for me, I expect him to come in 6 sacks, 45 tackles, about 8 to 10 QB hits and pressures, just because, like I said, I think he's going to be give it a limited role. Clemons, as much as I love Clemons and I'm hyping this guy up, he's a raw prospect. He still has a lot of work that he needs to do to his game. That being said, the guy's gonna be dangerous. He plays violently and aggressive, and he does all of those things to be really disruptive. And on third downs, watch out, because you might see him come in on third downs and play that like right on the inside of the guard, or the like between the guard and the tackle. I think it's the 3-eye is what that's called. I don't remember. And you're gonna see him really, really just blow up into backfields on third downs. And then next year, that's where you see Clemons as having a much bigger role. Clemons does have work that he needs on his game, but watch out. Clemons is going to be a monster. And my expectation that he's going to be at about like 25-ish, 20 to 25-ish% of the snaps, because I really expect elite production out of Lawson and JJ and most of the snaps going their way. But I think Clemons is going to do big things in a limited production number, and he's going to be the reason that guys like Vinny Curry, Bryce Huff, Zuniga, he's going to be the reason one of those guys is going to get cut, because Clemons is a monster. So that's our draft class. Let me wrap up the numbers, go over it really, really quickly, and I'm going to answer some questions and go over some comments that were mentioned here. So for Gardner, I expect 3 interceptions, 1 touchdown, 12 pass breakups, and 40 tackles from him. Garrett Wilson, I expect 90 targets, 65 receptions, 850 yards, 6 touchdowns, and that gives us an average of 13.1-ish yards per reception. For JJ, I'd love to see 10.5 sacks and 60 tackles with 20 QB hits and pressures. Breece Hall, 250 rush attempts for 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 250 receiving yards. For Jeremy Ruckert, I would like to see 50 targets, 38 receptions for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. Like I said, for Max Mitchell, it's hard to expect what he's going to do. He's going to do a lot of special teams things. So didn't really come up or write any stats for Max Mitchell in my little notebook here. And then Michael Clemons, I think he's going to have 6 sacks, 45 tackles, 8 QB hits, and a fumble recovery to the house, because that's what he did at Texas A&M, and I want to see him do it here on the Jets. So those are my rookie expectations. Let's kind of go over the chat really quickly, and then I'm going to end the stream in about 8 minutes. Just kind of wanted to do this video really quickly and see what was going on and talk to people. Let's try to catch up all the way from the beginning. GMF, QB percentage no higher than 40%, 40 tackles and 22 pass breakups. I know you were talking about Jermaine for this one. Oh, no, you were talking about Sauce for this one. I never looked into like the whole QBR or their completion percentage or anything like that for Sauce, but I would not be mad at this. Interceptions, no expectation. Team turnovers will be improved with him on the field. Look, I agree, but that doesn't change the fact that this guy is a ball hawk, and I expect him to get interceptions. He got 2 interceptions every year at Cincinnati. I want to see 2 interceptions here. I have him at 3 because I think he's that good, but I would totally be fine if he got 2 interceptions and everything like that. JW, Wilson will have to share targets with Moore and Davis. Absolutely. That's why I don't have him at big numbers and big reception and target numbers, because he's going to have to share receptions with 4 really, really good guys. And yeah, Moore is going to have a big second year. So I expect Moore to end with the most receiving yards out of our wide receiver class. I put him at about 900-ish yards. But if you're telling me that Garrett Wilson can come in and give us, what did I have him doing again? Let me open it up. 850 yards. That's perfect. You'll love to see that. GMF, expect them to use Wilson in the short pass attack. He should have 70 to 75 receptions, but don't expect over 800 yards in his first year. I agree. I think they're going to use him in that short passing game, but he has the getaway ability to really break those yards off for big plays. And I expect him to kind of work the middle of the field a little bit more than we expect him to. So that's why I have him over 800 yards. I really, really like him. Moore could exceed 1K yards and total closer to 1,350 yards from scrimmage. I think the bigger expectation from Moore is I don't think that high of Moore in the sense of like numbers wise. I love Elijah Moore, but I just don't think he gets that high of a number because of the fact that like that's giving Moore a lot of targets in our offense, and we've got a lot of weapons. And again, I was projecting with no injuries because, like, if Corey Davis goes down, then Elijah Moore is going to get a lot more targets. Garrett Wilson's going to get a lot more targets. So that's that. Correct. Wilson will be more around 5 touchdowns for his rookie campaign. Like I said, I think that's right around the target where he should be. I think we've got other people in the red zone that are going to get a priority over him, and I like that a lot. IUP Irvin Charles, impressing already, could be the 6th wide receiver that we did not expect to make a push for the team. He is impressing at rookie camp. I'm not going to put any stock into Irvin Charles until we get to mini camp, and I think he can make the 90-man roster, but I want to see him really do something against actual competition when we're running drills at full speed. But I do like Irvin Charles out of IUP. His size, 6'4", it's a good combination to have, right? You also got to consider Carter and Hall will catch balls in the backfield. This is referencing the Wilson thing. Absolutely. Carter and Hall are both going to get receptions out of the backfield. So, like I said, I have Breece Hall with 250 receiving yards coming out of the backfield because I expect him to be a big part of it as well. JJ will have 5 to 7 sacks. I feel Carl Lawson will be a beast. Absolutely. Like I mentioned in my video earlier today, I think Carl Lawson is going to come in and destroy offensive lines and just get after the quarterback. But I expect him, because he's mentioned it, to help these rookies come into and step into their own. And I really like JJ. That's why I have him at 10.5 sacks. JJ's the one guy that I put at a ridiculously high level because I like JJ a lot. I really think he has the potential to hit those numbers. I really, really do. GMF JJ needs to be that run stuff guy. 15 tackles for loss, 8 sacks, and 60 tackles. I agree, man. That's what he did at Georgia and at Florida State, was a lot of just stopping the run and being an edge setter. And what he said in his press conference earlier today, you got to earn the right to rush the passer. And I love hearing that out of that guy. Watch out for this kid, Mike Clemons. He's nasty and big and athletic. Yeah, absolutely. I love Michael Clemons. Like I said, he's just a raw prospect, man. I just think he needs a lot of work, and I think that he's going to get that help here at New York. I believe in Salah and Ulbrich and Lawson and the defensive line coaches to really help him polish his game, and I expect him to do a big leap in year 2, and I expect him to play a rotational role in year 1 and really earn his way onto the roster in year 2, because we got a lot of good pass rushers here on the squad, and I don't know if he's going to be able to outshine those guys right off the rip. In year 2 and year 3, that's where you watch out for Michael Clemons, in my opinion, because I think he's going to be nasty in that system. Mike Clemons going to make JJ look silly. See, I don't think so. I think JJ's a better pass rusher in my eyes for that situation. So again, everybody's got their own opinion, but I love Michael Clemons. Let me say that again. I do love the kid. Breece Hall even said he was overused at Iowa State. Yeah, he was. When I projected my Breece Hall usage, 250 rushing attempts puts him at about 10 to 15 a game. And we rush about 30 times a game on average. And I expect it to be a 50-50 split between him and Michael Carter, or like a 40-40 split between him and Michael Carter, and about 10% going to Tevin Coleman. That's how I see it working. And that's why I have him at about 250 rushing attempts. I like JJ. While many were on the KT hype, FSU didn't allow JJ to focus primarily on rushing the QB. Absolutely, Kev. And that's why I expect a lot of things from JJ, because we saw it at the Senior Bowl when he was able to truly put his hand in the dirt and pin his ears back and go after the quarterback, and that was the only thing he had to do. The guy annihilated it. There's that video, of the spin move on Max Mitchell, or go look at that Florida State versus the NC State game and watch him play against Icky. And there's one play where he on purpose takes the bad angle to bait Icky to step inside, swim moves around him. And then when he should in any of our plays go get the passer, he stops and he stands in place because his job is to what? Set the edge. He could have been in that backfield instantly and he could have gotten the sack, but he waited and he did his job. The ball gets handed off to the running back. He gets the running back and the tackle for a loss. Watch out, because JJ is going to destroy people when he's truly just allowed to go after people. Breece is going to be the addition, not the feature. See, I don't know about that. I think Breece is going to be given, like, I know I just said that there's going to be a 40-40 split between them, but like before, Michael Carter didn't have anybody else on that running game that we could rely on. So when I say feature, I look at it, and what I mean by that, I think Breece Hall is he's going to be a home run getting. He's going to get like your 12, 13-yard plays. I don't know. It's a weird kind of thing because like part of me reads this and goes, yeah, you're right. He's an addition. Him and Michael Carter together are going to be explosive. But like my expectation for Breece is that he's going to be explosive on his own. Like he needs to kill it and really show why he was a second round pick. You know what I mean? So it's a weird thing for me. Breece Hall is getting 1,000 seasons. A 1,000 season. He is very good. Yes, I agree. He is very good. And like you say in your a few comments later, this kid Hall is very special. I like that. AM, to answer your question about Breece Hall, I think Breece Hall is going to be in the running for Offensive Rookie of the Year. And I have a video plan for next week talking about what Jets are going to be in the running for awards next year, because I think we're going to have quite a few Jets in the running for awards next year. And we'll talk about that in that video. I see Breece slowly worked in LaFleur's scheme, because LaFleur's scheme is complicated. Look, LaFleur's scheme is complicated, but we saw how quickly like Michael Carter was able to elevate himself from like running back 2 to unanimous. He's running back 1, and I expect that same kind of level from Breece Hall. JW, Carter and Hall are beasts, absolutely. Ruckert is a complete tight end. Thank you, JW. I agree. Ruckert is a complete tight end. I love this kid, and I expect him to do big, big things. Conklin is a short down yardage, third down type of tight end. Yeah, I agree, but I also wouldn't be surprised like if we did like a passing play on first down or when we try to hit those home runs on second down to try to get people off guard. I like Conklin running up the seams. Like in a cover 3, you put that guy in the seam against a slot receiver or a slot corner. I'm sorry. That's kind of what I foresee him in our scheme when you line him up outside, like as a wide receiver in those kinds of situations. That's kind of what I see more of Conklin being. But yeah, Uzama is the red zone guy. I agree, but I think we're going to run a lot more 22 and 12 personnel. And that's where I see Ruckert coming into the red zone as well. So Ruckert will need to work on his contact balance in pass pro, but has the receiving skills, but will be a work in progress. Well, of course, every tight end is a work in progress. Look at how long it took Kittle to explode or Kelsey to explode. No one comes in at that position and is immediately a superstar. But I think a lot of people are sleeping on his receiving ability because of that fact. So Jets offense will be very explosive. I agree, JW. Thank you. Now, we got to work with vet tight ends to let them build their stock. We can easily trade Conklin midseason when Ruckert is up to speed. I don't see the benefit of trading Conklin at all. Tight ends get beat up, and the expectation that we're going to have a tight end play all 17 games is kind of ridiculous. And I disagree, Kev. I don't think we're in a position to be trading players away. I think that we got to keep our players. I think we got to keep our players because we're not in selling mode anymore. I think the Jets are in win now mode, and you don't get rid of these players if you're not getting a big return, something in return. If Uzama goes down, I would feel really comfortable with Conklin and Ruckert. If Conklin goes down, I would feel good with Uzama and Ruckert. If Ruckert goes down, I was okay in this season going with CJ and Conklin. So I wouldn't trade any of the tight ends away just because depth is key. Let's look at defensive line will continue high rotation like last year. So Clemons could see 40% of snaps per game. I don't see 40% snaps per game because I think that's high. I think we're going to see closer to 20 to 25%. Clemons is going to have to beat out, a lot of guys in that rotation. And as much as I like Clemons and what he brings to the table on the depth chart, I look at guys that are going to be a little bit more familiar in the system, like Solomon Thomas and Jonathan Franklin Myers, Vinny Curry, and like Bryce Huff, as guys that he's got to work his way through to really get there. And like I said, I think he does a lot in this defense. I'm sorry, because I really, really like him as a prospect, but I think we see that big step in snaps in year 2. So that's what I think, at least. 80 snaps per game. Clemons could see 32 per. He will dominate in those 32. Like I said, I agree. I think when he's on the field, he'll dominate. I expect that number to be closer to like 20 snaps per game for me. So Robert Saleh will not allow his starters to exceed 60 snaps per game. Of course not. And I don't expect them to get 60 snaps per game. I just don't expect Michael Clemons to be edge 3, because 40% of snaps is, in my opinion, that's edge 3 numbers. And I don't think he's there yet. I think he's got to earn that. But he might. And I would love to be wrong with Clemons. Give me Clemons at 8 sacks. Give it to me. Right to my veins, right here. Just, I love it. If we get this level of production, this is our best draft in forever. Oh, 100%. I'm going through and assuming that every single draft pick is a hit. But yeah. Kev Chatham, Michael Clemons looks like JJ's big brother. Gotta hope Clemons limits his flagrant fouls. Salah mentioned he goes to a dark place on the field. He absolutely does. The guy is crazy. I love this kid. And he's going to be an insanely good, productive player for this team. I just don't think it's going to be in a very large role because he has work that he needs to do. Have to not expect so much from JJ. He is going to focus on run defense first, and the team will focus on QB hurries. That will lead to sacks. GMF, I get what you're saying, but I wanted JJ so bad, I'm going to give him elite numbers. I understand that it's an unrealistic take, and I don't expect him to really hit those numbers, but I would love to see it. And I really, really want to see it because I think he can. I think that if he really just goes after the passer, he can get it done. But I think you're right. JJ is going to be a run stuffing edge, and that's what he's going to do at the beginning of his career. But I would love to see more pass rushing out of him, more sacks and things out of him, because that's what I love to see. I think 3 every year in Cincinnati. I think it was 2 interceptions. If this is for talking about Sauce Gardner, I think it was 2. I don't remember. I didn't really look it up recently. What's up, proud New York Jets fan? Welcome to the chat. I think I'm caught up on chat. Cool. Thanks for the live stream test for my current project. I sent you a DM. Oh, never mind. Proud New York Jets fan. Hey, what's up? Sauce will have growing pains with all the grabbing he did in college. Remember, college doesn't call holds as much. You're right. He will have some growing pains, Kev. But those are things that I expect him to be able to fix in camp, really, because remember, we have refs and stuff in camp, and he's going to do a lot of that. I think he might be able to get a lot of that holding business out of his system in camp. He's a good guy, man. So gotta expect big things out of him. Every dollar count, EDC. Welcome to the channel. Haven't seen you before. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We're 5 away from 400, guys. Very, very exciting. I could definitely see him getting over 800 receiving yards. I see around 1,100 yards for Wilson. Man, I think Wilson is that good of a receiver, EDC. I really, really do. But my thing with Wilson is that he's going to have to share the receptions with 3 other highly productive wide receivers who have experience in this scheme. So for me, that's where I look at that and I go, I don't know if he hits the 1,000 mark, because I have him projected at over 850 yards, but I don't see him going really into the 900s or 1,000 because that would see him getting a lot more targets. And I just don't expect him to get so many more targets from everywhere else. I have him at about, 4 to 7 targets a game. And an average yards, I expect big plays out of him. So I have an average yards per reception of about like 13 yards per reception, but that's what I have for him. What's up, Cameron? I just watched your video, bud. Nice content. Thank you very much. Kelvin Jason Tanner. Clemons is going to redshirt this year. I disagree. I don't think he does. We're too deep on edge for Clemons to see playing time unless he kills it in the preseason. My thing is like, are you really going to keep guys like Jabari Zuniga, Bradley Anae, Bryce Huff, Vinny Curry over a guy like Michael Clemons? I look at it and I go, I think that Michael Clemons can really come in. I think the Jets are going to have to make really, really tough decisions when it comes to this defensive line because a lot of these guys aren't going to make the roster. But I think Michael Clemons makes it on the roster. I think they want him to get game reps because that's what I would want. I would want Michael Clemons to get game reps because I think the guy's violent and aggressive, and I think that that's what we expect out of a guy like that. I really love to see it. So I don't necessarily think he redshirts because I think he has a lot of potential. But if you told me like, hey, he gets, especially because if you redshirt a guy, if you put him on a practice squad or something like that, somebody's going to snatch that kid up, man. There's no way he survives on the practice squad. A guy like Jabari Zuniga, a guy like Bryce Huff, those guys might survive on the practice squad and not get claimed, where Michael Clemons definitely gets claimed. So I don't necessarily see that happening. Kev, I still wanted Likely too. He's an offensive weapon like tight end Brevin Jordan. Are we talking about Isaiah Likely, the tight end out of Coastal Carolina? I do too, but I like Ruckert more. Isaiah Likely, after watching a lot of what he did, I just had concerns with. I had more concerns with Isaiah Likely than I did with Jeremy Ruckert personally. So for me, that's what I kind of look at it. I preferred Ruckert, but Isaiah Likely was a prospect I was high on for a long time. He was one of those. If we took a tight end in the second round, like a Trey McBride or a Ruckert, which is where I wanted to take either one of those guys, I would love to take Isaiah Likely or Jelani Woods in the 4th or the 5th in those mock drafts before free agency. Would you have been okay picking Andrew Booth in the second round instead of Sauce at 4? Is the talent gap that wide? Yes, absolutely. Andrew Booth to me was my 5th corner on the board. And when I look at my tiers of tight ends, or not tight ends, I'm sorry, of corners, there was one guy in tier 1, and that was Sauce Gardner. And then in tier 2, I had 2 guys, which were Derek Stingley and Roger McCreary. And the reason is it Roger McCreary? Who's the guy that Kansas City took? Is it McCreary? Not the Auburn kid, the Washington kid. I forget it's a mix something because there's 2 mix somethings. There's the one from Auburn and then there's the one from Washington, the Washington one. They were in a tier 2. And the reason I had Derek Stingley in that tier 2 was because of the injury concern. I think he should have definitely been in that tier 1, but I was concerned about his foot. That's really it, man. The Liz Frank injury, it's hard to fight. McDoofy. Thank you, Rob B. It was McDoofy. I had those 2 guys in their own tier. And then I had Kyer Elam, Kyler Gordon, and Andrew Booth Jr. in that tier 3 of guys where they're like starters, but they're not elite starters. So for me, that was the kind of tier rankings. And so for me, yes, I do think that there was a big enough gap between Booth and Sauce because I thought Sauce was my number 2 player on my big board. And he was only number 2 because he was behind Icky, because Icky I thought is an out of this world talent. At tackle, I think he's a Pro Bowl tackle. At guard, I think he's an all-pro guard. And I think he's a can't miss prospect. So yeah, for me, that's why I like that kid. That's why I had him at 2. And us taking him at 4 wasn't what I wanted. But when we took Jermaine at 26, it all made sense and it all worked out in our benefit. So hope that answers your question, Kev. What's up, Rob V? Thank you for stopping by, good sir. I feel really good about our secondary. I do too, man. I mentioned it earlier in the other video where I was talking about it. It's like, we've got a lot of guys that can cover now. We're really deep at sorry about that. We're really deep at corner now because now we've got guys that were starting for us last year as cornerback 4. Michael Carter the second might not make it to the field because we might play Breece Hall in the slot because like we just have that many good corners. We're going to be in a position where we're going to have to make tough decisions at corner as well because again, we've got a lot of depth now because not only did we draft Gardner, but we also brought in Reed and Whitehead, and we didn't lose any starting corners. Like, you got to remember, like, outside of Marcus May, we didn't lose anybody in the secondary, really. So not only did we bring everybody back, but we added talent to that group. We replaced Marcus May with a better safety in Jordan Whitehead, in my opinion. And then we added DJ Reed, who has positional versatility, who can play safety and corner. And then we added Ahmad Gardner, who's an elite corner in my eyes. Guys, the secondary is going to be insanely good. So you love to see things like that out of them. Iowan, you know what it is, man? Lots of Gatorade. And also I slept until like 2:30. I went to bed after that. I was just like in bed until like 2:30. Like I said, my wife is a night nurse, so I stay up overnight anyway. So I didn't have a problem with the 5-hour podcast and doing all that stuff last night. It was actually a lot of fun, but it was one of those things where it's just like, man, I stayed up for like another 3 hours. I had to wait till the power to come back on, right? I lost power last night, so. Oh, and Nick, if you're still in here, I saw you making fun of me. I do not look like Darth Vader with the mask up in my chair. Chat, let me know what you think. In this, I got to take the hat off. Oh, don't look at my hair, though. Do I look like Darth Vader with the mask off? Is that what it looks like with my chair? They were making fun of me when my power went out. Freaking, I'm sitting here dying in a Florida thunderstorm. They're making fun of me looking like a Darth Vader type guy. Kev Chatta, I wanted Ruck and Likely. Man, I would have, if we walked away with Ruckert and Likely, that would have been elite. That would have been an elite draft. If you replace Likely with Jelani Woods, I might have gone and kissed Joe Douglas right in the face. Just, I loved those two guys. Juicing after last night. Well, yeah. Gatorade is juice. Come on, guys. I don't do that stuff. See, Washington and Baylor had slept on backfields. Absolutely. Jalen Petrie. I watched Jalen Petrie, and let me know if let me know what you guys think. But like, when you watch Jalen Petrie highlights, go do this and let me know in like a comment section or tweet at me or DM me or whatever. Get back to me. When you watch Jalen Petrie, did you not get Honey Badger vibes? Because I got Honey Badger vibes when I watched Jalen Petrie. Like, he needs work, but like, man, did he kind of remind me of like Honey Badger, the way that he was just everywhere, man. I don't know. I got a sense of Honey Badger on him. Kev, what teams are close to cap or over to watch for cap casualties? Kev, man, you and me right here, my guy, because didn't you ask the offensive rookie of the year question up here as well? Because that is another one of my video ideas. It's literally written on here on my video idea list on my notebook, which is what players are on the bubble. I was going to take all of tomorrow and go through all of these teams and see what guys might get cut because they may have drafted their replacements, or what guys could be halved for really, really cheap. Kev, me and you, my guy, we're right here. So I don't want to answer this question because I'm going to make a video on it and I want you to come back to watch that video. But that's me and you, man. Great minds. Iowan Jet fan, have you watched Breece Hall's game against TCU yet? That'll help you with your football fix. It's a good one. I enjoyed your guys' show last night. Totally worth it. Yeah, it was a fun time. Nobody does more research than Kev Chatta. Man, I can see it. He's hard hitting questions, man. All of the hard hitting questions. Rob V. I went back and watched a lot of Brisker tape. To me, that kid is going to be just as good as Dax Hill and Hamilton. Let me kind of say a few things. First off, let me start with the Hamilton take. I never thought Hamilton was a unicorn of a player. I watched him play, and he had one game where he showed unicorn level ability, and that was the Florida State game. And specifically, everybody refers back to one play, and it's the play where he's tracking up the top, he comes this way, and then he breaks down the field for the interception, and he runs across the field for the interception. To me, Hamilton was not a top 10 pick. Where he went at 14 to the Ravens was perfect for where he was going to be. And I think the gap between Hamilton, Daxton Hill, Lewis Cine, and Jaquan Brisker was not that far. I think I had tier 1 guys for safety. It was Lewis Cine or Cine or whatever, however you pronounce his last name, the kid from Georgia, and Kyle Hamilton. And then my tier 2 was Jaquan Brisker, Jalen Petrie, and Daxton Hill. I think those guys, Brisker's a really, really good safety, and he can do both play in the box and coverage. And I really, really wanted him to be a coverage safety for the Jets if we took a safety in the second round. So that was for me, and that's it. Who's your favorite draft pick, and why is it Breece Hall? It's actually Max Mitchell, Iowan. I loved that kid. I was banging on the table. I wish I had a channel back in like December and stuff, because I just started my channel like 4 weeks ago, because I was talking about Max Mitchell out of Louisiana from like January, like December, January. I was like, watch out, the Jets should take this kid in the 5th round. Watch out, the Jets should take this kid in the 5th round. Watch. And then he kept playing, and then he went to the Senior Bowl, and man, Max Mitchell was my guy. And when we took him in the 4th round, I fell in love with that pick. So Max Mitchell is my favorite pick. But who's actually my favorite pick? It's Jermaine Johnson. I love that kid. He for me, he solidified the draft. He turned the draft from a B to a unanimous A+ pick for me. So yeah, that's what I got. Cameron Trammell, totally Honey Badger vibes from Petrie T. Go, thank you, man. I thought I was the only one, but I love this kid. Rob V, me and Kev Chat about to make a YouTube channel. Bro, do it and have me on as your first guest. It would be a great time. I'd subscribe. Rob Broadhead, haven't seen you here before. Thank you for stopping by. If you haven't already, hit the sub button. We are 3 subscribers away from 400, so would love to see that. So, Rob, if Sauce hits the ground running, we will have the best cornerback unit in the league. It was already up there with DJ coming in, being a top 10 guy. The video by Frankie on the subject was great. I have not seen Frankie's video on it, but I will say this. I love Sauce Gardner. I expect him to hit the ground running. If you were here earlier, I gave him stats of defensive rookie of the year stat numbers. I literally went to Jalen Ramsey's rookie year in Jacksonville and literally just copied it down, because that's why I expect out of the guy. But have a good night, Iowan. I saw the comment. But I expect him to be great. The thing I need from DJ Reed is consistency, because DJ Reed, and I heard this from a lot of Seattle fans, and I watched this on the tape a little bit, is that in games where he's on, he's a shutdown corner. Nobody's catching a ball. It doesn't matter who you are. I would when DJ Reed is on, I want DJ Reed covering like imagine this just for the lulz for me. But like we play Atlanta, let's say, I want DJ Reed when he's on. I want DJ Reed covering Drake London, because he's that good. There's nothing Drake London's going to do to stop DJ Reed when he's on. But the problem is that he's not always on, and not every player is always on. But when DJ Reed isn't on, he's not super awesome great. So, but I agree with you. I think we've got some of the best secondary. I think we have one of the best secondary units in the NFL right now. And like I like my earlier video said, I was talking about the pass rush specifically because my secondary video is not coming this week, but the week after, which is talking about, do the Jets have the potential to put on the field a top 10 defensive back unit? And if you take away the linebackers, because they're not DBs, right? But if you just look at safeties and corners, those 4 or 5 positions, because we like to play a 4-2-5 a lot, man, those guys can be elite because we've got a lot of really, really good talent. Breece Hall can play as a number 1 corner on a lot of teams in the NFL, and he's now our cornerback 3. So we got a lot of depth. We got a lot of people here. Gotta love it, man. Kev, Rob V, I stopped looking for a while. Bleacher Report channel with Connor Rogers had a good live draft. Manishewitz Mike. Hope I pronounced that correctly. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate you. If you haven't already, hit that sub button. Stick around. Ask any questions you got in the comments. Really, really appreciate it. From the second to last week of the season, college season, is when the smoke starts heading into the NFL draft. If you have your list, then that is how it played out in the draft. Interesting. Bro, great show. My favorite pick is Jermaine Johnson. Yeah, mine too, man. He just solidified the first round, like I said before. But gotta love it. Kev Chat, a fun fact. On Bleacher Report on day 2, Jason Kelce mentioned the Eagles asked him to rank centers as a team guy. He favored Cam Jurgens to replace him. Yeah, they basically told him to pick his replacement, and he picked Cam Jurgens. I saw that report, not from Bleacher Report. I saw that somewhere else, but that is a fun fact, and I love that fact. 397, nice, Tigo, keep pounding away. That's the expectation, man. That's what we're going to do. We're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep doing it. Rob Broadhead, have done, man. Love seeing a new guy on the block making great contact. Thank you, Rob. Really appreciate it, man. Really, really do appreciate the nice words. Haven't expected the show to blow up or the channel to blow up like it did, but man, it's blowing up, and you love to see it. Let's wrap up the show here. Let's get the last few comments in. Rob V, if we have one of the best secondary units in the NFL, we easily have a top 10, possibly top 5 D line. Then we're going to be a hell of a defense. Rob V, I could not have said it better myself. I expect big things from this Jets team. Barring injury, we should be a top 15 defense in the league. Really, we should be a top 10 defense in the league. With great defensive minds like Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich working together to come up with a defensive scheme to highlight our players' abilities, there is no excuse for us to not have a top 10 defense in the league. So I agree. Draft would have been the best draft ever if we had another pick for Nakobe Dean. Didn't want him in the first round, but later, yes. I agree. If I was Joe Douglas, the one thing that I maybe would have looked at doing is trying to trade one of like the depth pieces on the roster or a next year's draft pick to try to get back into the third to get Nakobe Dean, even if we knew that we were going to redshirt him for a year. But it's still an A+ draft and one of the best drafts the Jets have had of all time, even without the Nakobe Dean pick. Great show, bro. Thank you very much, Mike. Kev Chatta, 100% agree. Cameron, you're going to love LaMarcus Joyner too, Tigo. I don't know if you're high on him yet, but give the guy a chance, man. I promise you'll fall in love. Go back and watch some of his Rams tapes. Absolutely a nice fit. Man, I'm really high on LaMarcus Joyner. That's why I never saw safety as that big of a deal, because I look at the safety position and my thing is LaMarcus Joyner is on a 1-year deal. That's the situation. It's not that I don't believe in LaMarcus Joyner. I do. I think he's going to do a lot of good things in this defense. My thing with him is he's on a 1-year deal. And LaMarcus Joyner was hurt last year, so I don't necessarily want to rely on a 31-year-old guy who's coming off of injury to play everything like that. So that for me is where I got like that question mark on LaMarcus Joyner, not because of his ability, because I think he's excellent. It's just because he's 31 going into this season. He was hurt last year, so I don't necessarily want him taking all of the reps. I skipped Mike here by accident. Mike, subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much, man. I really do appreciate that. I've loved Joyner since college, and hopefully when healthy, the guy can hold down the back end for a year. Exactly, Rob V. I think he can hold down the back end for a year, but if he's only going to be here for a year, I'd like to see what we have in other guys. I'd like to see us give the opportunity to some of the young bucks to see what we can get out of them, because we have to look past LaMarcus Joyner, not just say we're going to run him for a year and then we'll figure it out after him. Kev, JD has a lot of hard decisions to get down to the 53-man roster. Bro, I would not want to be in Joe Douglas's position right now. You spend all of this time and all of this effort bringing in all of these great players onto the roster just to have to let some of these guys go and cut them and do these things. And you got to take into consideration he's probably looking at bringing in other guys as well. It's a lot of stuff, man, that you're looking at. And he's got a lot of hard decisions coming his way. I do not envy the position that he's in. Yeah, Kev, we have like 20 just on the D-line alone. Yeah, there are. I have it right now. We've got 8 defensive ends and 7 defensive tackles that he's going to have to make the decision on whether or not he's going to cut, because we're not going to run 15 defensive linemen onto the field. And let's look at just safety. We've got 8 safeties and 8 cornerbacks. We're not running 16 corners out onto the field. You know what I mean? There's a lot of decisions that he's going to have to make. We've got like 7 running backs on the roster right now. It's just like, that's not what you're going to do. You're not going to run that many running backs. A lot of really, really hard decisions. A great one for me was like Austin Walter. When we waived Austin Walter, I was surprised. I was surprised that wasn't Pirine, because I thought Austin Walter was LaFleur's guy. Lots of hard decisions. This will be the first year teams will be looking hard at who we place in practice squad to rate us. Absolutely. I expect us to get absolutely rated on the practice squad. This is where your coaching staff comes in, and this is where your scouting staff comes in, because we got players off of other people's practice squads as well. And so keep an eye on that, because again, I hope we don't run into the same injuries as we did last year, but we had guys coming off of practice squads starting for us and kind of being productive last year, right? We took the kid out of the Philly roster. Cameron, only thing we need him to do is cover, which he excels in. We have Whitehead to be everything type of safety. No, absolutely. LaMarcus Joyner is going to come in, and all he's going to do is play free safety. And we're going to have Whitehead be that box safety, cover tight ends, and really be a part of the run game and kind of play as that third linebacker. And so, yeah, I agree. Sherwood and Hamza are like rookies after missing last year. Yeah, they redshirted essentially last year. So I expect them to come in and be a little bit more productive, but you gotta look at the team and you gotta say, hey, I think the Jets really, really like Sherwood, because remember at the beginning of the year, they gave Sherwood the sticker. He was calling the plays and he was playing middle linebacker, and they moved CJ to the will and all of that stuff. So yeah, I expect Sherwood to come in and do a lot this year, because it seems like this coaching staff really, really believes in him. Rookies, but went through camp, got a year of coaching under their belt, and hopefully can learn from it. And they spent the whole year just looking at the playbook, right? At least they're not coming in and trying to learn the entire playbook by themselves. So absolutely, Kevin. Don't forget they can also play some safety in certain packages. Dude, we got so much positional versatility, man. We have so much positional versatility on the players that are on our roster. So lots of good things expecting and coming from the defense. Guys, if you didn't see my rookie expectations, go back to the beginning of the video and watch that. I'm going to be ending the stream here. Thank you for the 21 of you that came to hang out. I really, really do appreciate it. For anybody who isn't here and hasn't been here before, hit the subscribe button. We're 2 away from 400. We're 102 away from 500. And once we hit 500, I'll be giving away 1 lucky subscriber. I'll be giving 1 lucky subscriber a Zach Wilson is Good t-shirt, and not just the Zach Wilson is Good t-shirt. You can pick whatever t-shirt you want from Zwigs. Whether it's the Braxton Berrios is Good, whatever shirt you want, I'll get it to you and I'll send it to you. Make sure that if you want to be a part of the running, to make your subscriptions public. It's in your settings so that I can see you on my subscriber list. I have 400 subscribers essentially, and I can only see 88 of them. And I want everybody to be in the running. I'm going to do that the moment I hit 500, and I'm going to announce the pick who won on my Twitter. So if you aren't following me on Twitter, go do that. I'll also mention it in one of the videos, so stay tuned to see who that is. Once I announce the winner, you'll have 5 days to claim your shirt. That being said, guys, thanks for stopping by. Impromptu stream. I'm working out on a schedule so that it's not just out of nowhere. People can expect, they can expect what to expect with my schedule and stuff like that. But yeah, and what Cameron said, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, guys. It's much appreciated. It is much appreciated. It helps the YouTube algorithm out, helps my channel grow and all that stuff. Guys, thank you for stopping by, every single one of you. I appreciate you greatly. Thank you for hitting the subscribe button. Thanks for hanging out with me, late night stream and all that stuff. You guys have a good night. And last but not least, go Jets.